This is where experience comes in handy, but you need to know what levers to pull. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD Podcast. We are talking about being the CEO, the leader of your practice. 3 specific things you need to pay attention to. We have the closing thought of the episode. This is the Ultimate OD Podcast. Here we go. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD Podcast. Thank you for the likes, the emails, all the feedback you've been giving me. It gives me juice. Sometimes I need more juice than others. This is one of those times because I am hitting home stretch of moving to the new office. We are T-minus 2 weeks away from moving from my current location that I've been at for 13 years to the new office. 3,500 square feet, 6 lanes, 2 will be dry eye suite, 4 exam lanes. Have an office for my associate doctors, office for myself, conference room, not huge, be great for frame meetings, a break room. We have a contact lens area for INR, contact lens storage, 2 workup rooms, a special testing room, front desk, and then a big optical with some adjusting space there. It is awesome. I love how it's coming together. I had this vision. You see it on paper and then see it into practice. It's really cool. So go to our website, familyvisionoptical.com, and if you go to the menu tab, our location under construction, you can see some of those progress pictures. And then we're going to have a drone video go through and show the whole office. So I'm just really proud of it. Check it out and see. We're having an open house. We're just planning all these things to try and have momentum. Right now, I think is a great time for me to do this because the other office, the legacy office that's been in town, their legacy doctors have all retired. So they have 2 new docs, which invariably is going to cause some turnover, right? We're there to capture them. We're adding another doctor. We have a brand new office, a lot of momentum. Let's make it happen. LFG, my friends. Here we go. Well, that brings me back to this topic, this podcast, and I think it's fitting because it's football season. And again, it's not a football podcast, so if you don't like football, if you don't know anything about football, don't worry. But it is the analogy that got me here. And one of my staff members has a son. He's maybe 2, 1, I don't know, he's young. But he's into like boy things. He likes football. So his mom, who's worked for me for 7 years, love her to death, she's like, I'm trying to get into sports. We have a lot of football fans in my office. One of my managers loves NFL. So they talk all things NFL and Taylor Swift. So Chiefs fans, it's disgusting at times, but that's where we are. And my coworker, the one that has the son, asked, what does the head coach do? And I looked at her and I'm like, I'm like, the head coach is like the CEO. He's kind of like what I do at the office. And she's like, oh, all right, I get it. And then it made me think, what does a head coach do? What do we do? When I say that's what I do at the office, what does that mean, right? And when you're the CEO, when you're the coach, and you're coaching the team, you have special teams, you have offense, and you have defense, right? When we're running an office, you have your people, you have your patients, you have the business, right? You're managing all those things in some way, shape, or form. I like to always say people, culture, numbers. That's the 3 levers that you're looking at and pulling. But in this case, we'll use more of the football analogy of your staff, your patients, and then the business, right? Well, let's start off with your people. When you're a coordinator, so in the hierarchy of football, you have the head coach, and then you have offensive and defensive coordinators. The coordinators are like your managers, right? They get the message from the head coach, and they carry that out. Now, this is what my managers are doing. And there has to be a line of communication, right? The head coach has to talk to the managers, has to talk to the coordinators and say, this is what our emphasis is. This is what we want to do. This is the change that you need to get out of X, Y, and Z players, out of our staff, right? If you follow sports, you know that if it's a first-time coordinator or a first-time coach, there's always this, well, it's just their first time. Do they really know what they're doing? And honestly, when I started my office, I've played sports my whole life. I'm like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I didn't know a thing, right? Really thought I knew what I was doing, but I was really good at being a player. I knew how to be a doctor, and I knew what I needed to make myself successful. The problem is, if you just focus on yourself, if you as the doctor, you're going to leave people behind. Your staff won't be as good as they can be, your managers won't be as good as they can be, and your patients won't get the experience that they deserve, right? You have to look beyond that. And I'm 13 years in. I have a podcast about optometry. I'm going to one of my P3 meetings here in Nashville in November. And it's funny because I'm like, when I went to the first meeting, I was ready to go. I was a little nervous. But I feel like even though I've had more success, I've grown more in this past year since going to that meeting than I ever have before, I know less. I'm going there with an even more open mind of like, tell me what I'm doing, because now that I'm climbing the mountain, I'm in bigger ponds, I'm even more clueless than I was before. I thought I knew what I was doing, but now that there's a bigger pond, a new mountain to climb, I'm like, where do I go? What do I focus on? How do I get to the next level? And it's exciting. Well, that's what we have to understand. We're figuring this out, but you're the leader of your office. So when you're dealing with your people, you have to know, one, your vision. I call that culture, right? And that's your identity. You know, when you go sports, well, I'm going to beat this football analogy to death here. You know, you're a running team or you're a passing team. You're a finesse team or you're a smash mouth physical team, right? You have to have your identity. And when you're watching a game, you'll hear someone say they know who they are and they knew what to do. They came out and enforced their will on the other team. Or they really didn't have an identity and they were searching all the time. When we run our office, if you're giving mixed messages to your managers, yeah, we really want to focus on optical, or we're a really medical office. We want to get people in and get them out, or we want them to have a great experience. What are you? Who are you serving? What's your identity? Know that and convey that message down to your people, right? That's what the head coach does. That's what you have to do. I always know this is working when you start to hear the staff echoing your mantras. Like, we're here to optimize vision. We're here to do dry eye, optical, ocular health and wellness, right? As I've let you guys know, we're a little short-staffed right now. I haven't downscheduled. We're moving full steam ahead, but the messaging has been pulled back a little bit, right? We're not getting the same mantras. And the legacy staff, they know it, but it's the new people that are in or out or not here long enough to know it. And I want to push the envelope. I want them to know our identity. But that goes back to your staff. What can they handle? Where are they in their journey with you? Right? Sometimes you look at your team and you just know they don't have it today. You're going to have to call a really different game plan. Whatever you had planned, you toss out the window, and you have to fit the mentality. You have to meet your staff where they're at. You have to meet the players where they're at today. And sometimes you just can't do what you've always done. And that's kind of where I'm at right now with my staff. I look at them and I literally know if I give them any more, if I try to push the envelope any more right now, with all this uncertainty, all this change, they're going to break. So I've strategically hired 4 VAs. And anything I can get onto the plate, I am. That's ordering, that's answering all our phone calls, that's communicating with patients, so my staff can focus on what's going on in the office, right? The other aspect is me as a doctor. What do I need to see patients? And I honestly don't need a whole lot. Get them worked up, very minimal, get them to me, right? So I've really done, in my mind, a great job of seeing where our weak points are. I've given them the infrastructure. It's still developing because, again, you drive through snow initially. They don't know the answers to the questions, so they're constantly coming back to the office for the answers. My manager has, like, every time a phone rings, she's on every single call. It's getting better. They're not asking the same questions, but it's a lot. When it comes to workups, not demanding a lot, but someone has to do that, right? So we're getting people in place to do the workups. Easiest thing to train in the office by far. Okay? 2 easy things to fill. We got that taken care of, but we still have to do the optical. In our office, we are very optically oriented. Most offices, 40 to 60% of your revenue is coming from optical, right? So you have to put effort and energy into it. I've tried to revamp it. We've had podcasts about that. Davis, love your email. Great insight. Just things that you thought had to be done don't necessarily have to be done, and you can see results, right? Cut the fat, be efficient. The problem that we're having is finding opticians that can do what we need to do at the level we need them to do it. So that's my weak point, right? You have to, as the CEO, as the coach, know where your team is at. If you have a team that is built for, just they're big, they're strong, and they can, run the football, why would you pass every single play? Right? If your staff is really good at selling frames or communicating with patients and getting them to understand, then you're going to put more on their plate in that sense, right? Give them more of that. If they aren't as trained or seasoned in that avenue, you're going to put it on the people that can do it, and that's the doctor in my office right now. I can sell from the chair, right? Now, again, in a perfect world, we're doing all of the above, but you don't always have the perfect situation. Your best player is out. You're short a staff member, and you have to make it work, right? This is where experience comes in handy, but you need to know what levers to pull, right? You have the vision. You give them their trajectory. Knowing the staff and their skills and abilities will help you set that vision, right? So you're guiding your people. You're giving them their identity by knowing their strengths and weaknesses. They may not know what they can and cannot do, right? They get caught up in the moment. They see about 4 feet in front of them. You have to see 20 feet ahead, right? The changes I've made are going to allow me to scale and grow in the future, even though it's a lot of road bumps right now. If people are going to leave or people are going to be sick or gone, I've tried to put things in place that still allows us to function at a high level. We're doing it right now, right? As much as my staff feels a little stretched, we're still operating at a level that's higher than we did a year ago with less staff. Now, again, we're pushing them to their limits. I'm losing some of my messaging, but the business is still going smoothly from all intents and purposes, right? So 2 big pillars that you need to focus on when you run your office is know your identity, know your staff members, know their strengths and weaknesses. The last thing that you need to be aware of, that you need to focus on, is the business itself. Realizing that the business in itself is a person, its identity, it's something that you have to nurture and develop, right? The business will be here after the people are gone, if you have a business. If you have a job, you take a person out and it ceases to run, right? You're developing your business. What do you need to do to make the business not dependent on certain people? And that goes back to looking at the things that I've already talked about here. Knowing your identity. If you are a heavy medical office, you need a lot of staff. Invest in your staff. If you're heavy optical, maybe a little less staff, but you're investing in the optical. You're investing in training your staff to sell glasses. You're setting up the flow, the patients you're targeting and attracting to sell glasses, right? Make it synergistic. You have to know what you want from your business. That ultimately decides the identity, and you adjust your staff accordingly. Now, if you get this backwards, if you put in your staff and you have the staff that you're committed to, you're not going to change, and then you have a change in identity or a change in your business direction, know what happens? Either you're going to get a lot of pushback and you're not going to be successful, you're going to be trapped, or you hired a staff that's agile, will move with you, or more often than not, if you want to have that new business culture, business direction, you're going to get rid of staff, right? So to do this correctly, what's the trajectory of your business? Set your identity and put the staff in place. It's never that smooth, okay? Sometimes you have to make chicken salad out of chicken you know what, right? You make it work. A great coach will take the tools in front of them and then put them in the positions to succeed. You have to do that with your staff, with your patient base. And it's going to be tough at times. It's going to be a roller coaster, but keep moving forward. Don't lose sight of what you want to accomplish as a business owner. And make sure that aligns with your desires as a practitioner, right? Some of the things that I think would be good for business aren't what I like to do. Myopia management, pediatric exams in general. I think they'd be great for business. I don't like doing those things. So we have a pared down form, but again, if I invested a bunch of energy, time, and effort into that, I'm setting myself to not be happy. However, if I have that goal, I have a mission, I know what I can see, but I hire an associate and give them support to do those things, now you're making moves. Now you're being the CEO. Now you're leading the business. A lot of moving parts, a lot to digest in this episode. But this is what a head coach does. This is what we need to do as a CEO. Don't get caught up in the minutia. For example, if you're not being the head coach and you're just focused on running an offense, you're the offensive coordinator. Sometimes, well, every time, if you're the offensive coordinator, your sole focus is to score points and get touchdowns, right? Score. Well, in the course of a game, sometimes you want to score, but you want to slow it down, run the clock, take time away from the other team. And that's counter the offensive coordinator's main mentality, but the CEO, the head coach, is telling them what to do. You as the head coach, as the manager, the CEO, as a CEO, need to tell your managers, sometimes we need to pull back. We need to tone it down a notch because X, Y, or Z is happening. Right? Be able to see the big picture. I hope this makes sense. Even if you don't like sports, I hope I gave you enough optometry specific things that you can apply this to your practice. But take a step back and tell me, send me emails, send me contact stuff. Just hit me up. What is your business direction? What is the identity that you're telling your managers? And what are the strengths and weaknesses of your team? See if they're aligned. If they're not, find a way to make it happen. We'll have more for you next week. Where has the time gone? We are to the closing thought of the episode, and fitting that this is something I came across today, I'm going to read it to you verbatim and just know that this resonated with me so much. I thought it was fitting for the podcast, and again, our closing thought. It takes years, then happens all at once. Years of silence, years of darkness, years of running full throttle, speed bleeding out your soul on a road that never seems to end. You fail, you shrink, You do the best you can, but get nothing back. Until one day, one moment, one piece of work changes everything. The road ends. The silence ends. And you wake up on a roller coaster going straight towards the pinnacle. You get what you wanted. And the years of nothingness make everything so much greater. And your only regret is that you should have wanted so much more. I just thought that was awesome. That's what I have for you, Dr. Lily